India. Ask your friends to join soon. दुर्गेश जी, दुर्गेश सर, आप अटेंडेंस ले लीजिएगा 11:05 के बाद, एक कभी भी ऑटोमेटिक अटेंडेंस वेबएक्स में होता है।
यहाँ पे
Dear students, Professor Alok Tripathi, I just had a talk with him. He just is about to join. He was having some issue, facing some technical glitch. So now he's trying to join. That's why there is some delay in it joining. Hello, sir. Sir, Professor Alok Tripathi, sir. Sir, are you able to hear us?
can you hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, you're audible. सर कैन यू स्टार्ट योर वीडियो सर? नीचे उसमें वीडियो क्लिक स्टार्ट वीडियो सर, just please can you sir open your video sir? Hello, hello.
Can you hear?
Yes sir, you are audible, fully audible. Hello, hello. Sir, you are audible. Yes sir, yes sir. Sir, yeah, yes sir, you are fully audible.
Sound इसका खुला हुआ बंद है.
Oh.
यही है ना?
ये
खुला है. हाँ. Can you hear?
Yes sir, you are audible, fully audible. सर आप हमारी आवाज आ रही है? हेलो,
अपनी तरफ कर लो. क्यों नहीं रही? Just a minute. स्पीकर सही है? Ranjit,
yes sir.
I can't hear you. Just speak something. Let me
Yes
see
sir,
whether
I'm
the
speaking.
speaker is working or not.
You are audible sir, you are fully audible. Sir, you are audible.
हेलो.
सर आपकी आवाज.
लेकिन मुझे कुछ सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. Should I start? नहीं हाँ आई एम ट्राइंग. स्पीकर तो ऑन है बट साउंड नहीं आ. नहीं. Just a minute. इधर लगा ना. हेलो. नहीं आ नहीं रही. तुम देखो. जस्ट a minute. Give a minute. I'll just. Yes, now try once.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay, sir.
Full है ये. Yes, please.
Okay.
चलो, ठीक है.
So, thank you, sir. Okay. So, friends, it is my pleasure to introduce before you Professor Alok Tripathi, sir, uh, for a talk on ancient Indian heritage, especially Indian heritage. And Professor Alok Tripathi, sir, is a distinguished archaeologist and pioneer underwater archaeologist in India. He founded the Underwater Archaeology Wing in the Archaeological Survey of India and has directed several underwater archaeological excavations in Arabian Sea as well as in the Bay of Bengal. The most experienced underwater archaeologist in the country, he has worked in several countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe. Author and editor of 17 books, he holds equal authority in museology, art history, heritage management, art and architecture, remote sensing, and laws. He is the only social scientist listed among the 10 brightest young scientists in the country. And since 2009, he is a professor at Assam University, Silchar, and presently the additional director general of Archaeological Survey of India. So it is our privilege and it is our privilege that actually today he has given us some time in amongst his busy schedule. I know sir was busy last a few days back. He was busy with some ministerial talk and some meeting with the ministers in the Madhya Pradesh. And today also, sir is not in his home and he is in at Gwalior right now. So, sir will be talking about Indian heritage and the different aspects of Indian heritage. Sir, this is a group of BTech first year students, and this is a part of their orientation camp. As part of the national education policy, we are implementing national education policy, and we are thinking that they should not be only knowing about this coding and software development, rather they should have a holistic development, and they should know about the Indian culture, Indian heritage, the laws, constitutions, moral values, ethics, and all those things. And that's why we are conducting this camp. So, sir, today this platform is all yours. So now, sir, it's over to you. Thank you, sir.
I should start with a sorry for this little delay which has caused because of some technical issues. As Ranjit has already told you, that right now I am in the field, sitting on the fort of Gwalior. Many of you would be aware about it, and I'll try to tell you in general about the heritage and particularly about the archaeological excavations, because that is what the prime job of archaeologist is, and from where we get a lot of useful information which helps us in reconstructing history. I have a presentation, so I just start with that. Let me share the screen. Can you see the presentation?
Sir, this screen is not. Sir, नीचे share screen करिए sir. एक share एक option होगा share screen.
I'm trying, just a minute. I'm sorry, I'm using this WebEx, having some problem here in this system, which is available here.
Sir, at the bottom of that your screen, there is a share button.
Yeah, but it is showing the same screen, not my presentation. That is
प्रेजेंटेशन पहले सर शेयर स्क्रीन करिए.
share screen. Okay,
हाँ.
share.
उसके बाद देखिए एक पॉपअप बॉक्स खुलेगा, उसमें एक स्क्रीन वन है, उसको क्लिक करिए अंदर,
Okay,
फिर शेयर करिए.
can you
हाँ,
see
अब आ
now?
गया. यस सर, यस सर, नाउ इट इज विजिबल.
Is it full screen?
नहीं सर, सर प्रेस F5.
Hmm?
F5 प्रेस करिए सर, F5.
No, no. It is for me. It is full screen.
अच्छा,
Is slide changing?
नहीं हो रहा है.
Let me do it again. Can you see now?
यस सर.
Okay. So I'll manage with this.
ओके सर.
Okay. So friends, when we talk about heritage, let us understand heritage has two big groups or classes, you can say. One is the tangible heritage, and another one is intangible heritage. Intangible includes certain traditions, rituals, songs, dances, and activities which doesn't have a physical form. And tangible heritage generally include the monuments or archaeological remains. And when we say monument and remains or the sites, we should understand monuments. When we say, generally we are talking about the remains which are above the ground, which are visible, and others are the archaeological sites which are buried under the ground. There are international and national legislations regarding how they should be maintained, how they should be excavated, what are the activities which are permitted, which are the activities which are not permitted. There are certain ethics, there are policies, there are rules through which archaeologists and all those heritage conservators, heritage lovers, they follow it and they work. When we talk about archaeological remains, people generally have a very different idea. Archaeology is going in the field, digging and finding the treasures or the remains where everything comes out. But that's not the case. It's a very systematic approach where one has to first search the remains or the sites, then they have to be excavated very systematically. Everything has to be documented, and then what evidences are found, they have to be interpreted. When we talk about Indian heritage, generally we talk about something which is typically Indian. And when we talk about archaeology or history, we have a tendency to go back to the earliest. And when we say Indian civilization or Indian culture, what comes to our mind is the Harappan civilization, one of the earliest civilization of the world. on which every Indian feel proud. It is also known as Harappan culture, or people also call it Indus civilization. Some also call it Indus Valley civilization, which is not a right term. So either call it Indus civilization or Harappan civilization or Harappan culture. And this civilization and the sites which are related with this civilization, they were all found by systematic explorations and excavations by archaeologists. So I am going to tell you about these, some of these excavations which are important. Of course, monuments, they are available. You can see them. On them, lot of literature is available. But some of these sites which have been excavated are, these works are done in very recent past, and about which you do not find much authentic material. When I say authentic material, I mean something which is systematically interpreted, because whenever anything is found, then you have a different kind of experts who start interpreting in their own way. And if you go on internet, you will find a variety of interpretations or the stories or videos. They will give you a very different picture. So therefore I thought, being bright and young minds, you should have the authentic information about some of these sites so that you can have a fairly good idea about the heritage. So when we talk about archaeological excavation, we mean all those systematic attempts which are made to find out archaeological remains. There may be coins, there may be structures, there may be seals, inscription or sculptures, ivories, pottery, or any kind of thing. And it is not that it is limited to the land, whether it is on the land or whether it is underwater, or whether it include digging or just collections from the surface or surface study. Everything has been defined as archaeological excavation, and sorry, and that is the primary duty of an archaeologist. There is, there are one means few terms which one should be aware of when we are talking about heritage. The one word which is very common and popular, that comes culture. I have used the word Harappan culture. There is also a word Harappan civilization. There is a difference in civilization and culture. When we talk about the culture, it's a something which people have defined in different ways. There are hundreds of books available on culture. So it is defined or perceived or seen in different ways. But when we archaeologists say about a culture, we are talking about the way of living of the people of the past. So it is generally based on the kind of material which we find. So there is also a term which is used, material culture. We use this term for Paleolithic culture, the Stone Age, when the people were living in the forest and using the stone tools. We call it Paleolithic culture. When the copper was introduced, then that period is called Chalcolithic culture. Then in the Iron Age, there was a megalithic culture. So in different periods, there are, based on the material, there are, they are called different kind of cultures. When we use the word civilization, it is a something, of course it's a part of the culture, but it's more developed, where there are certain parameters like you have a big cities, you have a writing system, long distance contact and trades, there are public architecture. So if they are small individual private architecture or houses, they do not, means that doesn't come under the civilization. So there are different cultures, but when collective work starts, certain political or administrative bodies come in place. There is a central administration, there is a standardization. So when we come to that level, then that culture is called civilization. So we have a few civilization and rest all we call them as culture. But this term civilization is used by people in a very vague manner. So you should be aware that what should be a civilization or what should be a culture. When we talk about the old world cultures or civilizations, we know there were four important, most ancient civilizations. In China, we have a Chinese civilization. In India, we have Harappan civilization or Indus civilization, which was first discovered in Indus Valley. Then we have a Mesopotamian civilization, which was uh, in the valleys of Euphrates and Tigris, and then in the Nile Valley, we had the ancient Egyptian civilization. Among these, here you can see the spread of this civilization. You will find that ancient Indian civilization was spread in the largest part and it survived for the longest period. The Chinese civilization, Mesopotamian, Egyptian, and Indus. You will find that Indus was the most developed, it's the most ancient civilization. So we take pride when we talk about our heritage. Now, one thing you may notice here, which I would like you to focus on, the civilization which is found in China was called Chinese civilization. Civilization which is found in Egypt was called Egyptian civilization. Egyptian and civilization found in Mesopotamia is called Mesopotamian civilization. But the civilization which was found in India was deliberately not called Indian civilization by British officers. There were certain reasons, political as well as other things. So they deliberately gave a name it to Indus civilization, which is not a proper way. Because when any ancient civilization is found anywhere in the world, generally it is known by the name. So we can call it Indian civilization with pride because it was found in India and it is the ancient most civilization in the world. These are the few terms which are used for Harappan culture. People call it Indus Valley civilization, Indus civilization, Harappan civilization, and now some people also call it Indus Saraswati civilization. So they have their own basis for calling it because first it was found in Indus Valley, then the name was given Indus, and since the first site of this culture was Harappa, so they call it Harappan culture or Harappan civilization. And now we are finding a lot of sites of this culture in on the banks of dried Saraswati River, so they call it Indus Saraswati civilization also. Its discovery is very interesting. It's a part of history. You may not be much interested, but just have a look. It was first, that place, Harappa, was first visited in 1842. Alexander Cunningham, who was the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, had also visited the site, but they failed to understand this civilization. And when Lahore Multan Railroad was being laid in 1857, a large part of this city was destroyed because they retrieved bricks for laying the railway track. And 1912, some seals were found from there. And then Dayaram Sahani, for the first time in 1921, he started excavation and then he realized that what he is excavating is something different from all that is known till date. So he, for the first time, realized that it is a different culture, it is earlier than what is known. And prior to excavations of Harappan sites, it was believed that the history of India starts from the invasion of Alexander. And when these sites were excavated, history of India was pushed almost 3,000 years back. And therefore, I decided to tell you about this earliest civilization so that you know that how the history changes with the new discoveries. This is the this is the first seal which was found at Harappa. And this map shows the extent of Harappan civilization. Just a minute. Here you can see the spread of this civilization, and they were having connection with each other. When we talk about Harappan civilization, it has three main phases. The first early phase where development took place around 3300 BCE. So you can say around almost 5500 years back, development of this culture started. And the mature Harappan was the phase where it survived in its best form from 200, 500, 2500 to 1900 BCE, around 600 years. And then it got degenerated, and later on, we find that people move towards the Ganga Valley, and then we have the second urbanization in Ganga Valley. If you see the spread of site, you can see that early Harappan sites were spread in a larger area, and during the mature Harappan phase, they get concentrated along these rivers. And then later on, we find that they move towards the east. When we see the spread, the northernmost post in India is in Mandi, that is in J&K, and the southernmost site, which is known as on date, is in Maharashtra. And it's spread within the country is from Gujarat to UP. So the large part of the country was under, means was inhabited by these Harappan people. I have already told that it was first discovered in 21. Harappa was the first place where excavation took place, followed by Mohenjo-daro. And when partition took place in 1947, both Harappa and Mohenjo-daro went to Pakistan. Then Indian had to start their exploration afresh. And Rangpur, which is in Gujarat, was the first site which was excavated. And then, since then, a large number of other sites have been excavated. Now we know Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, Kalibanga, Surkotada, Dholavira, Rakhigadi. These are the places where excavation has taken place. Among these, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are in Pakistan. Dholavira and Rakhigadi are two large cities which are in India. Dholavira is situated in Gujarat and Rakhigadi in Haryana. These are few other sites where excavation has been carried out, and the results have added a lot to our history. This picture just I want to show you that how these sites look like. These are the mounds where the remains of the cities are buried, and once the excavation is carried out, then you find the remains of these houses. You can see the how these cities were. They had a broad roads and the streets which are cutting each other on a 90-degree angle. And this is how we find the remains when excavations are taken place. Based on these remains, these conjectural views are based on the scientific study. These reconstructions are done which help us to understand how these places would have been. Mohenjo-daro was excavated from 22 by Rakhaldas Banerjee, and John Marshall, Ernest Mackey, Mortimer Wheeler, they were the archaeologists, and it is one of the most famous sites of Harappan civilization. And among them, the most famous structure is this one, which we call Great Bath. It was something like a swimming pool. The staircases are here. All around there were structures. Probably it would have been a very important structure where people were taking bath and then doing certain things. We can just presume. So it must have been some sort of a religious structure of very importance. This is what the picture is. So this was a large structure, water body, when it was excavated in 20s. But after that, when we excavated in Dholavira, we found huge structure. They are several times bigger than that, and which tells about their technical developments in the Harappans. Based on these excavations, people have done reconstruction, that how this is a reconstruction of the granary which was at Harappa, which was used to store grains. Because these cities, the people living in these cities were all traders and industrialists, and they needed food supply from the villages which were spread all around. So they had a central administration which was taking care of all the needs of the city, and they were very well managed, and this administration was very strict. As you find, for hundreds of years the plan of the city is maintained as it was. There were no encroachment, there were no deviation from the original plan that suggests that they were being managed perfectly. This is one picture which is very interesting because it was these skeletons came from one of the excavation, and based on that, the British archaeologists said that these cities were attacked by the Aryans, and the people living in these cities were non-Aryan, and then they made it a point to prove that this the original Indian means present Indians are not the original inhabitant of this country. They had come from somewhere else. Of course, now based on the archaeological evidence, this theory has been discarded, but still historians carry on with such kind of things because they still do not know the reality and of these remains and about their dating or their context. Therefore, such things continue, and therefore archaeology becomes important to understand the events of the past. Other than Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, the most important Harappan site in India is Dholavira. It is located in the great means in the Kutch area of Gujarat on a small island, and its water management system particularly is worth appreciating. This is the map. Here we have this area, and then Dholavira is located here on a small island, what is called Khadir Island. And this site, this is how it looks from the space from in a satellite imagery. You can see this line. It is 1 kilometer in length and 1 kilometer in width. This small rivulet is there. One is here and another one here. This is a dry area. During rains, when the water comes, they used to collect all this water in a series of reservoirs which is inside the fortification. I'll show you the picture after excavation. And so they used to conserve every drop of water to run this city for whole year. The city has three parts. The main was the citadel, where the main person would have been living, and then there was an industrial extension to it. There was a middle town where all these people were living, and there was also a lower town. So there was a social stratification. There were clear division of the work, and proper planning of the city. This is the plan after excavation and studies. So this portion is called the citadel or upper town, where probably the administrator or priest or ruler, whatever you call it, because we don't have a very clear idea about the political or administrative system, would have been living in this portion, which is the highest part of the city. Next was this industrial town. This was a middle town, properly divided in blocks, having streets, straight streets, very broad, and then a series of tanks all around where the water was conserved. This is how the excavation was conducted, where remains of these all. This is how we archaeologists start excavating from the top. Slowly we go down without disturbing the structures, and all these deposits tells the history of that place. This is a portion of this citadel. You can see the thickness of the wall. This is a guard room. A person enters from here, then he has to walk, then enter from this one, climb these stairs, then he has to go this side, and then take a turn and then enter. So this defense planning also. So it's not that one can directly enter in the citadel. It was very well guarded. It has guard rooms on the both the side, and in one of the guard room even a board was found. It is a 10 letter board. Probably that would have been on the top of either this outer gate or inner gate, telling about this structure. This is the place where that inscription is found, and that is the largest Harappan inscription. Probably it was on a wooden board, so the wood has been deteriorated and only those letters have remained there. And they were having a beautifully cut these blocks and the pillars, and they were all of limestone. And you can see the how nicely they were built. This is the entrance. You go inside, then go enter here, then walk on the both side, then you walk and then take a turn, and then it shows various phases. Initially it was a bigger gate, but in a later phase the width was reduced by these later additions. So when you excavate, you will get everything, and this is the board. These are the 10 letters which were written there. This is another gateway of a middle town, and this area was an open stadium. Probably there would have been the fairs and games and all kind of things. This is the highest area where the priest or the king would be living. This is the ramp from where one enters, and this would have been a place, a public place, where all the activities of the city would have been taking place. So some of these cities are better planned, even better than our present cities. So you can understand that the status of technology, planning, administration, almost 5,000 years back. These are the pillar parts of the pillars. This kind of different these blocks in different shapes were cut and put one above the other to make the gigantic pillars. These are the huge water tanks. The one which was excavated in Mohenjo-daro surprised the world that how beautifully it was made. But when you see the water tanks of Dholavira, they are really mind-boggling. And the joints are so fine that not a single drop of water can percolate. So that drop means they saved every drop of water to run the city round the year. This is one of the largest tank in the eastern part of the city, where the upper portion is made of masonry and the lower portion is cut in the bedrock. And when the water goes down, they made a stair so that the people can go down and can collect the water. There was a drainage system all around the city. So when it rains, water flows to these drains and then go and get collected in these tanks. And one of the drain is so big, even a person can walk through it. So it comes from the every roof by the private drains, means these channels. Then it goes to the main street, a bigger one, and then finally it joins to the largest drain, which goes and joins to the tanks. So all the water which is within the fortification area get collected to all these tanks. Once one tank is filled, the water goes to the next one, and then all these tanks are once filled, then they take care of the entire need of the city for the rest of the year. You see these channels, they are covered with the stone, all made of stone, so the water coming, and they also have these chambers in between so that the air get escaped and there is no blockage, or even if they have to be maintained, so they can be done. So very meticulously planned. It is the much better than even present sewage systems in our modern cities. These are some of such water structure. This is a one of the well. This is one small tank with a steps. So when it comes to the water structure or water management, they had a perfect planning on that. I am not going on the city part because Harappan urban means cities and their town plannings is very well known. This is something which is not in the textbooks, so I want to share with you. When it comes to the garbage uh, distribution and maintenance of the sanitary work, so there again they had a very good drain system. They used to have soakage pits or the ports where this all was collected. So the uh, solid waste is separately collected. It doesn't goes in the drains, and only the water goes and it flows all around the city. So there should have been a very clean cities during that time. These are some of the excavated structure where you can see multi-chambered rooms having a courtyard. Some of them have their own systems up to 20 rooms. And this is the main street, which is very wide. Even two cars can pass, one from this side and another from that side. So they were well built, beautiful, large cities. This is another one long street. You can have an idea by these camels and people that how big they would have been. And this is how the city would have looked like. There is a citadel, there is the industrial town, this is a stadium, open area, then the middle town, this is the lower town, and the water which is coming from this rivulet as well as from the town going, and that is being filled in all these tanks all around the city. And this was probably connected with the maritime trade from the other part of the Arabian Sea. There is another important site in that is known as Rakhi Gadi, which is in Haryana. This here you can find a big difference. Dholavira was made of all stones, being in Gujarat. This city here you find all the structures are made of bricks, generally mud bricks. And from the excavation, you find these Harappan seals where a script is written, which is not deciphered so far. Then a variety of terracotta figurines. These are the copper mirror. Wheeled carts were there. There have been a lot of debate about the wheel and the spoked wheels because again it is associated with the Aryans and non-Aryans. So Harappans were using the spoked wheels. So therefore this question that they were coming from somewhere outside doesn't arise. Another important site which is in Rajasthan is Kalibanga, which was excavated in 70s, and it is known for its fire altars and a huge burial mound and a plowed field, which gave us information about how the cultivation was being done during that period, and they were having simultaneously two crops at a time. So that tells about their agricultural advancement. This is how the city was. There was two part again. Generally we have two parts in the city. One is we call it upper town and another one lower town. So here this was the citadel area and this was the common area. They were all in between, there was a space, they were separate. But in case of Dholavira, we find three parts of the cities all within the fortification wall. These are the series of there is a drain and the series of fire altars which was excavated at Kalibanga, which suggests that these people Harappans were fire worshipper. This is a museum there where the excavated materials are displayed. Another very important site is Lothal, particularly about a huge brick structure or brick tank which was identified as a dockyard. And this is the conjectural view of the city. There is a river, one part of a branch of it is was coming, and there was a huge water structure made of burnt bricks, and it was identified that it was used as a dockyard. The boats which were sailing to Arabian Sea were coming and they are being docked here. There was also a huge store, means warehouse, and also a series of toilets and the blocks. So that suggests that that would have been an ancient port. This is an aerial view of that place. This is the so-called dockyard, and there is this is a modern tank, so you should not confuse it with the site. This is the ancient site here. This is how. So this a huge tank, and this is the whole settlement here. This particular is the warehouse where the goods which are brought by the sea are stored. And the city was this side, and on the downside there was a burial ground. These are the remains of a warehouse where the goods used to be stored. And these are the excavated structure at Lothal. Surkotra is another town which is known for its settlement. Here you find there are two parts of the city parallel to each other. The citadel and this residential area is divided by a wall or a sort of a partition having a gate. So you find these cities were not having a means they were having a common features, but their plan vary depending upon the need or their location. So they have a segments, but they are designed in a different way. Untasi is one very important site being close to the sea, and a jetty was found there, suggesting that they were having a sea trade. Ahmedabad is in Maharashtra, and being the southernmost post, it is important. It was of a late Harappan period. Varmana and Sanoli are important sites. They were in the news very recently because a chariot was found buried in a grave. So this is an area in Haryana where you find this is all cultivated area, and this was a chance discovery. When excavation was done, a large number of burials were found, and these burials were having a variety of burial goods. Here you find a number of pots. Sometimes there are three, sometimes 5, 7, 11, or more than that. So these they might have contained different kind of foods and other items at the time when they were buried. Along with that, they were having different kind of ornaments, the sword, and in the recent excavation, even a chariot was found completely buried, and it was beautifully. It was made of wood, having a copper sheeting over it and decoration. Here you see a burial where a rich lady, might have been some powerful person, is buried with these golden ornaments and a necklace. This is a close-up view. Then you find variety of beads made of different kind of stones. These are all which are found from these graves from Sanoli. They are made of agate, they are of carnelian, and a variety of pottery. This pottery is very important for archaeologists because it tells not only the age but also the different uses of that. These are the it is a sword which is of made of copper, which was excavated from the site. And then in Harappan period, we find variety of art objects. Generally, people call it mother goddess, but it's a female figurine. You can see the elaborate hair dress, ornaments, and the dresses. Generally, the human figurines are less, but you get a large number of animal figurines, and you find almost every animal depicted in art. These are some of the ornaments made of gold and the precious or semi-precious stones that can tell about the prosperity of the people who are living in these cities. They are heavy and very beautiful. Sorry. These are different kind of beads and the ornaments which have been excavated from these Harappan excavations. Some of the beads were very small. These are called micro beads. And this one black line you are seeing is a hair, human hair. So you can see that how small these beads are. and then how they were drilled. Again, it tells about the technology which they were using. There are also some statues. It is one of the most famous statue from Harappan period, generally known as Priest King. You see the trimmed beard, half closed eyes, and then this fillet on the top, and the beautifully decorated shawl which he is putting on his left shoulder. Right shoulder is open. So that tells about not only the lifestyle, but the status, the kind of art, the architecture, the economy, everything you can make out of these findings. These are some other ornaments which are excavated from Harappan sites. And it is the one of the most famous sculpture. It's made of bronze, dancing girl. It is known by the name dancing girl, and it is right now in the National Museum displayed there. And it was made by the lost wax process of making bronzes. There are some small stone statues. It is made of chert, a male and a female. These are some other. It is made of a stone. It is faience, and that is copper. The pottery itself was beautifully made and beautifully or tastefully painted. You get a variety of decorations on them. See this one. They are multicolored paintings on them, and this kind of cards. So they were used for transportation. The toys for the children, mask, different kind of animals, birds, tires. They used to play different kind of games. Then many other votive or the smaller things which we do not know. Then this is a Mesopotamian seal, which suggests that they were having links with the Mesopotamia. And the most interesting things among Harappans are these different kind of seals. The script is yet to be deciphered. Many attempts are made. Many people are still struggling. Everybody is trying to read what is written there. The moment we read this script, we would be able to know a lot more about the earliest civilization, and the history of India would be pushed back to thousands of years. You get a variety of animals. You have a rhino, the buffalo, the tiger. This is a composite animal. It has a body of a tiger, but it has a horn. And the bull is a very famous or very popular figure which you find. Then this is called Sadasiv or Yogi figure. Then there are narrative scenes which are interpreted. People call them, these are the Saptarishis, a people tree, a god which is here, someone kneeling down and praying to him. There is a composite animal. So these are the finds. This is Mahayogi or Sadasiv, or we call it earliest form of Shiva, or these are different animals which are here, and then the person sitting here in a yogic posture. Later on in the later phase, we find that they are only the script. There is no motive on them. Then a variety of burials and recent findings, DNA from these burials have given us more information about these peoples. And some of these excavated remains also tell that, means these are a sort of evidence. These holes are pre-mortal. So sort of a surgery or some type of attempts to cure some disease were made during that time. I'm not going to talk about opportunities in history, but since you are the people from a different background, I invite you to come forward and travel back in time to unravel great mysteries of the unknown past. And I can tell you that when we talk about Indian heritage, we have proud in saying that we have the oldest heritage in the country, not only in the country, in the world, and that Indian civilization, what we talk about, is one of the earliest civilization in the world, and we have a continuous existence from, though if we go to Stone Age, for millions here, but this civilization started around in the 6th millennium BCE, several things which continue even till date. And we find this continuity in different forms in different parts of the country, in our ritual, in our culture, in our art, in our architecture. So we should feel proud and about our heritage, and as a citizen we should all also try to protect our citizen. Article 49 of the Constitution make it obligation of the state that we preserve our heritage and culture, whether in the records or antiquities or monuments which are of national importance. Certain things are given to the states, they take care of those, and then certain things are with the local bodies. So as an responsible citizen, it's the responsibility of every citizen to protect our culture and heritage, and we should feel proud on that. With that, I'll stop. If you have any question, please feel free to discuss.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a very nice way of explaining the things in a very short time. In fact, you have given sites and the culture and civilization. So thank you so much. Now I invite the students. If anyone has any query, then please come up. Just switch on your microphone and the camera and just ask the question.
Anyone? If not now, if you have any query anytime, feel free. My email is there. You can mail me, and feel free to contact and discuss. So there is absolutely no hesitation.
Yes. So thank you so much, sir. It seems that all have understood everything. So thank you so much, and for your offer as well. We will see. Actually, it seems a very interesting field, and this was the only purpose of this orientation came. People should be aware of these developments, and they can sometime think of if information technology can be of some use, and interdisciplinary research can be there, or some kind of add-on can be done. So we, from the institute side, on behalf of IIIT Allahabad, I sincerely thank you very much, sir, for visiting and addressing us. And sometime we will definitely would like to host you at our institute. So whenever you find time, please come over here.
Thank you. And again, I'm sorry for the delay which occurred, but I'm happy that finally I could connect, because being on the site, sometimes it becomes very difficult to get this thing. But I'm happy that I could share this some a little information with you. Hopefully you might have liked it. If you want to know anything more, feel free, not only to me, anyone, anywhere in Allahabad, you have our SI office. So from any office or from any archaeologist, feel free to contact, discuss, and we can work together, because there is a lot of scope for implementation of these new techniques in the field of for the preservation, study, finding, discovery of the cultural heritage. So all of you are welcome, and thanks to you all once again.
Okay, thank you. So we are closing the session now, and Professor Ranjit Singh will be in touch with you for the next announcement. Thank you so much, and thank you once again, sir. Namaste.